15-30.
Immediately forced to save a break point. Yeah, Robredo was 6 of 8 break points the Spaniard held against Wawrinka. Going to keep Tommy at bay.
Advantage, Wawrinka.
And already under. And using the forehand to drive through prior.
Exactly, and a couple of days ago. That was great.
I think you make a good point about that, the fact that it's the prior round to coming into. And finally got to bed and to sleep at 5:30 a.m. yesterday. Woke up at 1 in the afternoon, came to the site at 2, practiced 3:15, then back to the hotel for rest and recovery. That's not normally how, to be fair, it is a record-tying latest finish here at the U.S. Open on the dot with 2 other matches. Remarkably, 2 hours or 2. Just long up.
Nobody else really matches up.
And stepping in, Nishikori, MJ Imran wants to know how difficult it is to recover from a marathon tennis match. And what is the process that goes through?
Playing in the juniors, and I got the good fortune of hitting with Carlos Moya, and he just finished a 5-setter the day before. And if I hit a ball 2 feet away from Moya, he would not move for it. And you're talking about one of the fittest. End of story.
And you also take that into consideration, 90 degrees Fahrenheit range.
And another thing,
Nole and Andy have been for the title of a major, went at a major. And Wawrinka does get his. Kei Nishikori serving love 3 opening set, hasn't got off to a particularly strong start as Stan Wawrinka has marched out taking 14 of the first 22 points in all 3 games. Little Jahanzeb Mirza says these players are professionals and incredibly fit. I don't think that Nishikori should have any problems. They train for it.
it is true.
There is barely any stone unturned that you can't find out what you need to know about this tournament at usopen.org. Do you agree with our
Headline your game and just go for broke at some stage.
Wawrinka is playing well from 15-30. And waste any reserves you do have, just redlining straight away. I just wonder how the active players. It's not really fair. I'll put you on the spot though, because I've got you right next to me. Amongst those, he was quick as lightning, but didn't help his cause too much.
Well, and being a great player, unfortunately, it's like, and he wasn't the biggest guy out there, so there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, standing 5'9", currently 320 in the world. Speaking about the German, hey Bjorn, you got a shout.
And he would just, bunt the ball back in the middle of the court and not make Kei's legs pay.
Rolls into New York as a big question mark as to whether or not he'd really be able to put up to the level he would expect and the fans who enjoy his tennis would think. But he
supply the motivation, because even though it looks like Stan's moving along fine, a lot of times that's not the case on the inside. You feel like, ooh, I need this. So many times.
Change the dynamic of that, certainly for you in your mind. He's picking on the backhand a bit as Wawrinka. Just a bit too strong. The intent was there. Wawrinka closing in rapidly, but a bit off balance. And another set point.
I'm on the edge.
That'll do.
And first set.
The first one coming indoors in Memphis, Tennessee.
So he would have a really, really good chance to do well here. Even better.
There too.
Yeah.
Unofficial numbers, of course. Our data stream still being monitored by our social media department. Nishikori would have to take today to find his way to the semifinals.
I'd say calculate over those as well. Again, the idea is physical state. That's the higher percentage of the two situations.
Thus the chances. Rankings and the history since they began in 1973. And he is a superstar back.
Get those points over with quick.
Kicks away from Nishikori. Nishikori hasn't
And
lost a point on
Nishikori.
first serve he wanted, and this year it's changed officially. Don't find any more remnants of Stanislas. Just Stan. And for his biggest fans, Stan the man. Who I'm speaking of. This could be a very...
There.
And that's tough.
The great one.
Oh. 2 seed. But the #1. Just think back to that magical run in Melbourne. Wawrinka. The court.
Wow.
I mean, maybe it goes to a point that you were mentioning and bringing up.
And if it's coming across, across that second set, this match you have to think is over. And he knows Wawrinka is feeling some course of 10 games. It's not that big of a deal. But unfortunately, a lot of chances to get broken. 3 different games that set.
Yeah.
There was a love 30 game, a love 40.
Bounces back to point. Wawrinka needing to distance himself from that disappointment. Chanel Beavis of South Africa says, "One day I will be in the city for the U.S. Open. My favorite tournament of the season in my favorite city." You can hardly be blamed for that opinion.
Again, Wawrinka.
But it's impossible to answer just because who's the greatest player that's ever played the game?
I see where you're going. Sometimes it's part and parcel with being the aggressor.
But I also say what has turned has
of the 10 seed. Wawrinka continued to supply. Definitely sort of the hanging in the air aspect of perhaps Nishikori just not fit to conclude a match. Hand.
Game.
And he's broken. To remember.
pass.
They seem to get a fill up here towards the end of set number 3, and the 50th unforced. Things are looking bright.
Game.
And perfect starts for both. His fitness, and will he be able to pull this out in 5 if he can't get across the line in this set?
You just have to, in my...
And for both, if you're just joining us or haven't heard, today is a lot less humid than it has been over the course of the last 4 days. Base just to the left, a couple inches in the corner. That's pretty brilliant.
Is completely open.
Stop it. And no. You wouldn't think so. 40-15. Right back to work. And long. Can't do any better than that. And so it goes to a just skips. Competition that has eluded him, as has much one quarterfinal prior. Second consecutive 5-set match.
Executing phenomenally today. Another, come on. I mean, seemingly meaningless point. Early good player with that one extra ingredient. Every ingredient is so powerful.
You know, he's in that final in Melbourne. You can even go back actually to the quarterfinals when he the racket heads. Are sitting on the edge of their seat, as we imagine you, tennis fan, are too. Wherever you're watching, this is turned into a doozy. Surging here inside Arthur Ashe Stadium as well to give him a bit of a pep in his step, if you will. And so far, it. Maybe not totally indicative. Potential pitfall. Miles slower, still very effective. Times, but all in all plays very even, keeled and calm. Just like we practice. Rear, back, and fire.
We mentioned the ratio goes a -24 and Kei's goes to a -14. Such a match.
This one against Nishikori. He's been on court for 12 hours. I make that point, of course, because Wawrinka got a... Oh, Sly. Had to hit it.